about budget and
Yay!
talking about, I don't know if we're intermingle the capital improvement plan tonight, or if we kind of want to, I
I
think we
put it
gotta,
there just in case,
I
but
think maybe we need to focus on possibly one thing at a time. It
okay,
might lead into other things, but
okay,
let's start with the budget,
okay,
and go from there. I think for me, the best way to go about it is take it section by section and have discussion, questions, different things,
all right.
stay in an order.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll start with personnel and salaries. You sent everybody I haven't even really had a chance to honestly look at it. I printed it before I left, the compensation study and pay scales. Um, Give us an
Yeah.
understanding of what you sent us. So
Okay.
since we haven't really probably had a chance to read over it.
So yeah, I sent the final summary of the compensation study that was done in August of last year, and that was performed by Omni Human Resource Management. It kind of explained the scope and what they were going to do, and so it describes how they compared us to other things. They used salary.com, Society for Human Resource Management of Greater Kansas City, otherwise known as SHRM. They looked at Mid-Continent Public Library's compensation and benefits survey, Nonprofit Connect salary and benefits survey of Greater Kansas City regional nonprofit organizations and associations. Some job postings and job descriptions from Mid-Continent, Daniel Boone Regional Library, Scenic Regional Library, St. Joseph Library, and then UMKC, Mid-America Library Alliance Consortium, Glassdoor, and then of course they compared it with other clients that they've worked with at Omni.
Which you resent that out to us.
I did,
So
yes.
Diana, I don't know if you saw the email. Check it when you get home. He sent out what we're going to discuss, but he sent a copy of the uh, compensation study that we did, so you'll have a copy of it if
Yeah.
you want to look at that.
Yeah.
Good.
So, and then besides looking at just library stuff, they also they also used filters for Cass County, Missouri, and the Greater Kansas City area, and organizations with an operating budget of 5 million and between 50 and 100 FTEs, which is the classification we are in. So they looked at not just libraries; they looked at other disciplines, industries too. So they looked through all of this stuff over 6 or 7 months, and it basically they analyzed what we were doing with our current wage system at that point, and then they made recommendations. And those recommendations included adjusting our pay scales to be a midpoint, minimum, and maximum instead of having the step system, which we had,
Which was
because
totally,
it,
I couldn't understand it.
I know because every single staff classification had like 2 pages of, this is the steps, and there were 2 columns, and I didn't even understand how you got from column A to column B because it depended on certain circumstances.
This
But
is much more
this,
credit
laid
scoring.
out.
it was.
If you've been in education, you understood them.
Well,
Okay.
but the thing is, like, we didn't have steps in there for because one thing with education is they have different steps for, like, if you get another degree or if you take a certain number of classes, there's another step. We didn't have that. We just had 2 steps. But they looked through that and they were basically like, this isn't great. Hold on. What they said was, the current CCPL wage schedules are inconsistently administered, which can lead to employee confusion and the perception of internal inequity. So,
Well, that sounds awful.
yeah, well, I mean, it worked for a time, and it just we got to the point where we kind of outgrew the system. So they made a recommendation to switch to a minimum, midpoint, maximum, and besides eliminating the steps, it also gives us greater flexibility. So, for example, we have a youth services coordinator position open, and we have a requirement of a master's degree. But what if they have a master's degree, an additional master's degree, and like 10 years of experience?
They're
We don't
ridiculous. No.
exactly, yeah. But we don't have to hire them at that minimum.
Right.
We have the leeway where we can hire somewhere in there.
No, that makes sense.
So.
Mhm.
They also, let's see. So one of some little things. Rhonda is our circulation specialist, and they determined that her roles, her job description, and her job responsibilities really were beyond the specialist as we defined it, and so she was moved to a circulation coordinator position because she does a lot of system-wide things, and she's basically the circulation department. It's a department of one, but. We have a lot of those. And then with Department of Labor guidelines, with the job responsibilities of the larger branch managers and business managers, they recommended that we reclassify them as exempt, which gives them greater flexibility, and we did that. And then with the pay increases, they said, based on current market conditions, we recommend CCPL consider an annual pay increase in the range of 3 to 5% for 2023 to remain competitive. And then beyond 2023, we should closely monitor market conditions and library's budget capacity to make 2024 pay increase budget decisions using 3% as a target guideline. And then also,
In a sense, saying at a minimum. Or is that kind of the idea that, or it's not really a minimum, it's, hey, here's your target to shoot for,
yes,
try to get close to it.
I try to look at that as a minimum. We've had very few times where we have given less than that. There was another thing in here. On the first recommendation, along with the ranges, it says this allows the client to adjust pay for varying degrees of knowledge, skills, experience, and performance. And so that's where that performance piece comes in. And then the fourth page is a very large chart, which is kind of confusing, but that is basically all their raw data. But the one that's most important is that last page, because that takes what the current pay was in 2022, what the market data showed, which is that middle part, and then the furthest right, like the light blue, I guess that's bluish. It shows what they would recommend for our pay ranges for our jobs based on the market data, comparing the job descriptions and all of that. And so from that part on the right, we have the pay range sheet that shows all of those, but it breaks it down for everyone, and it gets rid of all the extra stuff, so we can see all of our pay ranges on one page. So it's a lot of information, but that's where we are, and I know that you did not have a copy of that, so I wanted to get that out, and we have it.
Okay, so we have 31 employees, right?
31 benefits eligible.
Benefits
We have
eligible.
87?
90.
91.
91?
We broke 90. Okay, well, we have 91 employees. Okay.
And 37 are,
31 are
30.
benefits eligible.
now of those 91, does that include our subs?
Yes, that's every employee we have. Mhm.
Okay, where do we have custodians? Because I thought we had conversations about we hire out. And I'm trying to remember back, but I didn't know we had. Maybe I did know, but I didn't realize or recall.
What branches?
We have those at the smallest branches, Archie, Drexel, and Garden City.
Okay.
So, and they work between 3 and 4 hours a week. So they basically come in, like, I think Cassie comes in late at night and she just does it when she gets home, and that's it. She's at Archie. But and at the larger branches we have citywide, and they clean multiple times a week. In Pleasant Hill, they'll also include window cleaning, because Pleasant Hill has more windows than all of our other branches combined. It's a
Well,
lot of
this one's in
natural
a
light.
basement, so it makes it hard.
Yep, and we don't have anyone cleaning the skylights either.
Why would we bother?
I don't think CCIC does either.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Questions, thoughts? As far as the benefits go, I know you said mid-October.
Yes.
So like, will that be will you have that updated information
That now.
at the October meeting, or will it
well,
be more at the other
it
work
probably
session?
won't be in the packet, but we might have that. We might bring in a new green sheet with updated numbers based on those, because it could be like mid-October, it could be like October 17th.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we will, as soon as we have the updated numbers, or updated estimates, because it also, well, no, it's, like I said in the email, it was really confusing because everything last year was based on ages. And so there was a huge range of what it cost the library to cover someone. And now we're in a flat rate system. So it costs the same amount for everyone. And so hopefully this year, it will be easier to plug in instead of, okay, well, this person is 26, so they call, yeah. It can save money if you do the age banded, but it requires a lot more work on our end. And if we can get a flat rate that gives us better benefits and is less work for us, I'll take it.
So did you switch companies?
Last year in late 2021, we went through Mike Keith and a couple other people to get multiple bids on insurance
So you could
premiums.
shop around.
Yes, yeah. And then we did switch. We were with United, and now we're with Blue Cross.
And in comparison to like other library branches, do you have any clue who they're using for their insurance?
Oh,
If they're happy with it, or
It varies.
Okay.
There are a lot of libraries still in Missouri that are with a consortium called Missouri Consolidated. We used to be in that.
was it
And
not good? I'm guessing it wasn't.
it's good. I think it is. When I was at Scenic, we had Missouri Consolidated, and it was basically United. But the thing is, we were already in it, and they get lower rates. Once you leave, you can't go back. So, and once you get to a certain size of staff, it stops saving money. So
Okay.
it's like the Missouri Chamber of Commerce has a similar thing that we actually looked into, and it's really good if you have like 5 or 6 employees. It'll save you a lot of money. You can get your employees really good benefits. But once you get much more than that, it no longer saves you money. And in fact, they came back with us, and it would have been like a 40% increase on insurance. And there's no
Yeah.
way. But yeah, so we got Blue Cross, which ended up being cheaper than United.
Okay.
And this year we are we're expecting probably a 10% increase, but we know how insurance
You
is.
don't know
It could
for
be
sure
more.
yet, yeah.
So,
Are we on a multi-year contract with them? Or is
Yeah,
it just
it's
year to year?
Lori?
Just year to year.
Okay.
Year to year,
Mhm.
okay.
Is that offered at a discount? I mean, like, do they offer for you to get a multi-year discount or a multi-year setup to where you're saving any money if you sign up years in advance?
I don't think so. Not
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
Not that you know
I
of.
remember when we talked with that one guy from Iowa when we were at NRC, he was saying that they've basically stopped offering multi-year things because it's such a volatile market, and
That's fair.
they can't guarantee like, oh, it won't go up more than 7%, and then it goes up 25%. So
And then if
yeah.
you have somebody that is seriously ill and skews the numbers,
Right.
which that's why we have insurance to
Yeah.
help each other out.
Yeah.
You know, it can, okay.
Yeah.
Have we considered, why did you choose 3%? Because of Omni?
hmm Yes.
What did we give them last year?
5.
We did give them 5?
Mhm.
Yeah, we got
Okay.
5 last year.
Yes, 5.
And this
The
has a,
CPI for Cass County is at over 3.4 this year.
Oh, that's lower than it was because
Yeah.
last month it was projected to be 6.5.
This
So,
morning,
oh, good.
from the Department of Labor Statistics for August 23,
Mhm.
the CPI for Cass County was 3.4. So that the biggest thing that's costing people is gasoline.
Yep.
I don't know. Food's killing me.
Well, food is there, but gasoline is more than food, according to the Department of Labor
Well,
Statistics.
they
So
don't
that's
have
what I
as many
was,
kids as I have.
that
Oh.
was what I was looking at.
Well, and within the whole, I mean, it's a 3%, but within that, there's the what's the performance-based part, which
Yes.
a person could potentially get up to 5%.
Another 5% or just
No, no,
an
no, just
additional
up
2%?
an additional 2%, right?
No, there was more
Oh.
than that, wasn't there? Because it depended on.
I wrote this.
I
No,
know. I
no,
just
I'm
looked at it.
just-
Which page is it on? I know I saw it.
Uh,
The breakdown. Well, I know that
Wait.
says that, but when it was actually the breakdown, was that in the packet that we got last week, or was that in an email?
it was so I
No,
think it was
I
in the
saw a
email
breakdown.
because I gave the breakdown of like the scores and what percentage that would be.
I don't
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah,
I don't,
and I remember seeing it. I don't know if
It was the one I sent on the 28th, the 2024 budget questions. But
Okay, I got it somewhere. Hold on.
I don't know if I've dropped that.
so yeah, so 3% for performance
Okay,
rating,
here it is.
3.0 to 3.4, 3.5 to 3.5 to 3.9, 4%, 4.0 to 4.45 from 4.5 to 4.9, and then 5% for anyone with a performance rating of 5. So, yes, so that would be in addition to the 3%.
that's in
Yeah.
addition.
So they can get as much as 8%.
They could, yes, but most of our staff, I believe, are in the 3.5-4.0 range.
They'd be
So,
walking on water.
So what is the 3.5 to 4 range?
3.5%, that would be 3.5 to 3.9, and then 4%
what-
raise would be
What's the
sorry.
percentage of so those people at 3.5 to 3.9, what's their rate?
3.5 to 3.9 would be a 3.5%.
So then that would actually be a 6.5%.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the people at 4 and above are
They would be yes,
Like
4% would be
7%.
yes.
So the
Mhm.
ones that are nearing God.
Do they have to have been here a certain
They-
number of months
Yes.
to get that?
Great question. They have to be employed here 6 months in order to get that.
You
So,
get the performance?
yes, so anyone who started after June 30th of this year does
Just
not
gets-
get that. Yeah.
Okay.
And
that's
we're
fair.
talking about
That's
relooking
fair.
at this every year.
So
What are we looking at here?
basically the recommendation is to look at the market and decide what the cost of living percentage should be every year. And I have no problem looking at that every year.
No, the
but-
performance rate.
Oh.
Like, are we going, okay,
Oh.
every year we're looking at this and we're increasing it every year. I mean, like, that's what I'm trying to figure out, like, how your hybrid system is set up. So we've got, let's say we're every year we're going to make it a point to give everybody a raise 3%. And then how often are we giving them the other raise on
Every
top
year.
of that?
Oh,
That's the question.
yes,
Okay.
it would be every year,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
That's fair.
So
Yeah.
they would, so if one year they get 8%,
Mhm.
the next year they could get 3.5. So they
That's
have to
true.
earn that every, okay.
They
Yeah,
have to
yes,
they
they
have
have
to
to.
earn it.
consistent in
Yes.
their
Okay.
performance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that answers my question.
Yes,
Okay.
sorry, yeah, thank you for
And
rephrasing that, I got
did
it now.
have another question because as I was looking at your breakdown and
Yeah.
your low, medium, high, do we have any positions that we really struggle to fill and you think it's based on what we're paying for that particular, or is it just a matter of, I mean, I felt like it took us forever to get a bookmobile person, it seems like.
It did,
But
and
that's just maybe just that job?
and it has the added part of the driving, and
That's
so
specialized.
well, you don't have to have a
Oh,
special
that's
license anymore, but it's still a large vehicle.
Yeah.
I think the position that we have trouble filling the most, you can correct me if I'm wrong because you've been interviewing, is it's usually the sub, but it's because of the number of hours, because our subs don't
Yes.
have like a set number of hours.
Mhm.
So we require them to work a minimum of 8 hours per month,
Mhm.
but they're really more of an on-call.
Mm.
And so it's hard to entice people
Mhm.
to come in.
Okay.
So,
So do we need to look at our subs then, what they're getting paid?
so with the compensation study, before this, the subs made about $1.50 to $2 less than library assistants. In the compensation study, when they looked at all of our job descriptions, they essentially saw that the subs were they had the same responsibilities as library
Right.
assistants, and so we were able to boost all of them. And I think on average, the subs pay went up like 7 to 8%.
So they're
So they're-
making, which really, I mean, if they're doing the same job,
Yeah, it was just
Yeah,
a
it makes you
difference in
think.
hours.
Yeah.
And when you are a library assistant, even if you're working 12 hours, you do get, it's a small amount, but you get a small amount of paid time off.
Okay.
So, and then at 30 hours, you're eligible for health care.
Benefits,
So,
all
yeah.
benefits.
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
there's nothing in particular that you're just like, this is an issue that we have all the time, and I feel like we don't allow for enough money in this position.
In the email in the compensation study, the email that I sent, there were some questions, and one of them was how much turnover have I had in
Yeah.
library assistants?
Mhm.
We only had 6 leave,
Yeah.
but the thing is that almost always when someone leaves, they say they're leaving because they're getting more hours and they're getting more pay.
And okay, and you said that's library assistants.
Those are all
Yeah.
part-time positions?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, we have 4, wait, we have 3 full-time, 2 full-time library assistants, and then we have 4 full-time like specialist positions. But there are 2 library assistants that are full-time. So,
There are.
yes.
And the
How many overall?
yeah.
How
2
many?
full-time, so I'm assuming one are they at NRC, are they
Yeah, the one at NRC, one at
one in
Harrisonville.
Harrisonville?
Do you have it?
So are those library assistants specifically not wanting to work full-time, or do we not have full-time library assistant jobs? Are we trying to keep that at part-time?
We do not have that many full-time library assistant jobs.
Okay,
Yes.
But
we
it
aren't
helps
we aren't
it
offering
helps to
that.
fill the schedule to have these part-time, doesn't it?
It does, and I've done a lot. I've done a lot of math on this at Scenic and here, and this is going to make me sound like a jerk, but you can cover more hours in a branch for less money with 2 20-hour
Yes.
than 1 40-hour. And actually, it's just about even with 3 20-hour as it is for 1 40-hour because benefits are crazy expensive.
Yeah.
And that I know
Well,
that may sound a little heartless, but from a monetary standpoint,
Right.
it does make more sense, especially at our smaller branches because they can adjust their schedule. 20 hours gives you a lot more flexibility than
I was
30
going to
and 40.
say, on the plus side, for the person who's looking for part-time work, there's that flexibility for them. So it's not really heartless. It's
no.
if you're looking for part-time work, it's a
Right.
good gig.
Well,
There's
now
very little part-time
Yeah,
work
unless you're
that's
going to go
not in the
to,
food
yeah, I was
service.
going
Right,
to say, unless you're
right,
going to go
no,
to food service.
right.
So it's a good
It's a good
gig for
gig, yeah.
somebody who
It's a
wants to
good
work
gig.
so
Yeah.
20
the
hours a
question
week.
is that leads
So how
into,
many, yeah.
are people leaving because they're going to a full-time position, or are they leaving because they're going to another part-time position?
More money.
I
It's
mean,
um
like that's my real question, because I
yeah.
mean, if they're just wanting a full-time position, then obviously they need more money than part-time, and we can't make up, in salary. Do you see what my thought process here? Like, it's like,
Yeah, there's
you know,
no way to do that.
right,
Yeah.
and we're not going to do that. If they're leaving for another part-time position, then I'd be like, okay, are they going to another library assistant job somewhere else, and they're getting paid more?
There have been some that have done that because I mean like Kansas City and Johnson County pays like $20 to start an hour.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's outside
But
our range.
it's basically yes, and if they get a full-time job, that's great. But almost always it is the pay. So
How
and
many
that's
how many part-time library assistants do we have?
I just counted. We have 23.
23. Just spread throughout.
Do we have too
Oh wait,
many?
sorry, 22.
Do we have too many part-timers, say, at a library? If we could give the best ones a few more hours, not clear up to where they get benefits, but if we give the best ones more hours and then do away with, I don't want to fire anybody, but as people quit,
Attrition.
yeah,
That's what that's
attrition,
called. Yes.
Attrition.
What would be better? Would we be better off with fewer part-time people with working the same amount of hours as we have available now for,
You mean offering more than 20 hours to
as
them?
long as you keep it under whatever the hours has to be.
Um,
He's just saying, does it work what you're doing right now?
doesn't work what we're doing right now. There are pros and
There's
cons to
pros
what we
and
do right
cons,
now.
yeah.
So something that
I would say real quick, a
oh, go
lot of
ahead.
the folks, like, part of the draw with the more hours would be to be able to hit the point where you get the benefits. So,
Right.
Yeah. There are other libraries who use our system, um, a system similar to ours, and then there are other library systems that do not have what we call subs. Everyone has a set number of hours per week. Um, the problem there gets is they don't have a sub pool like we do, and so let's say the whole branch gets sick, and we don't have anyone who can fill in because we don't have that sub pool, then we have to think, okay, are we going to close the branch because of
Right.
sickness? And
Right.
like, I don't like that. But it would also, although this year our turnover has been relatively good, it would help in, having, if we don't have subs, it would help keep people. So, a con with the system that we use now is that we have the subs and we require them to work 8 hours a month, which is great, but also we have a lot of stuff that we use technology wise and just service wise. Like 8 hours a month, that's fine, but it should be more.
You're not an expert in what you're doing, basically, is
Yes,
what
and
you're
so
saying.
sometimes, like if someone's working that one shift that they've worked and they haven't worked in, almost 2 months, some of that time is going to be like, okay, I need to remember how to do this. So
Retraining.
yes,
What's the minimum amount of time that a sub will come in for?
So it depends. If the sub is close to the branch, sometimes they'll cover, notably at NRC in Harrisonville for a staff meeting. They'll come in for like 2 hours.
That's what I'm
But
asking, yeah.
usually, the managers usually try to work them 3 or 4 hours
Okay.
to make it worth their while. Because we have some subs that drive all across this county, will
Yeah.
work anywhere, but 2 hours and you got to drive from, let's say, Drexel to Pleasant Hill, that's not worth it.
No,
So,
yeah, no.
Right.
yeah, our managers are pretty good at that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, my main thing was just trying to figure out if there was any holes that, I mean, it seems like what you're doing is probably kind of the best you can do at the moment, and that's just something we
yeah,
continue
and
to think
and
about
yeah, and
ponder.
Robin and I have had some conversations over this year and last year because there's been a couple of times when Robin was never in her office because all we were doing was interviewing. So we have talked about uh, looking at a different way to do things.
I'd
So,
like to see assistants make a little bit more than a sub. A school teacher makes a little bit more, but they've got, they make more than a sub um,
mhm.
in the school building. But that's just my personal opinion. I'd like to see if a sub doesn't have to absolutely come in that day. They just have to get their 8 hours a month, right?
Yes.
What happens if a sub turns down so many times? Anything?
We have that in place. Basically we have a verbal coaching session
Okay.
to get fancy, and
Okay.
we're like, hey, we really like having you here, but
We
you
need you
can't.
here.
We
Yeah.
need you here, yes. And then we go into the conversation like, if you don't work in 3 months, like you've almost forgotten everything. So
Yes.
we need you to put more effort in.
Yeah.
So,
I
and
know
then
my-
if it keeps happening, then we have the not so fun conversations, but that hasn't happened yet. So.
Yeah, yeah.
A little bit off the subject, but I think one of the things we need to consider is the fact that we're in a really hot economy right now. And right now, there's more open jobs in the United States than there's practically ever been, at least back until the '60s. I mean, we're hitting another peak of job help wanted signs. And so there's going to be a draw, supply and demand right now. Uh, the demand is for workers and the supply is short for workers right now. And I think that's going to push our wages up to keep people. Now, if you say, well, I've my master's in library science, where else can I go? About the only place you can go is Kansas City for something like that, which means more commuting. more gas, more everything. But if you're talking about subs, there might be a lot more demand for their labor than what we're looking at right now, because, just on the news today, there's more help wanted job, openings right now than there's been in a long time. And, with this hot economy, I think we have to look at supply and demand a little bit and maybe make some adjustments beyond the first of the year. Maybe we need to go back and look at it in June or July and see if we're still keeping enough employees up there.
One more question. Did we start any library assistants above 1375 when they came on this year? They started 13, even if they had, okay.
So question back to the whole sub thing and the branches type thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you've been here since 2017.
Mhm.
So in that time period, because I know you can't really go back any historically beyond that, but has there been this threat at any branch where it's like nobody can work? Like you're saying you don't want to put the idea away from subs and not having just people set hours is because your concern is what if everybody gets sick in the branch? I mean, has
Yeah.
that happened?
Yes, it has. Before 2020, before we were able to, with the tax increase, we were able to add staff to make sure that we had 2 staff in the branch at all
Right.
times. And on some occasion, we have still had 1. But before that, there were a handful of times that I can think of where we didn't even open branches because people were sick and there was no one to go. So like,
Are you
one of
talking more the smaller branches? I'm
yes,
assuming you're
it's
not talking about NRC,
no, we
Harrisonville,
have not had that.
Yeah.
Pleasant Hill, I think it happened once,
but it's a
but
smaller branch. Or
it
was a
was
It
smaller
was.
branch.
It was.
It was
Um,
considered one of the
yeah,
smaller
it
ones.
it
So
happened at Drexel, Archie. I think it may have happened once at Garden City, but it's usually Drexel and Archie because they have. I mean, back then, gosh, it was Brad, Sherry, and Glenna. Like that was it. It was 3.
But
So
you can't put a sub in a library by themselves if they haven't been working either.
true.
so
Um,
here's the question
yeah.
I
Doesn't work
have.
either.
Mhm.
My questions come along the lines of, okay, so why not just have subs only for those smaller branches and have set library assistants at the bigger, larger branches, where, I mean, you're not going to close if 1 or 2 people aren't there, but I can understand down in the Archie if both Glenna and Sherry are sick, okay, that's
Yeah.
tough. You're gonna have to try to find 2 subs. You got your new youth specialist there but
Yeah.
yeah, you're gonna have to find a sub for that.
Yeah.
I understand, but I'm
Mhm.
just wondering in the larger 3 now branches, would it be worthwhile to consider set 20-hour, whatever it is, library assistants rather than having a sub pool for them, just have it for the
Yeah,
smaller
and
branches?
and that I think that would work at the larger branches, but on the flip side, of where it's hardest to find subs in the smaller branches, because the people they're in their small towns and they're already driving a long way, and it's hard enough to get the subs there. So I think that it would be harder to rely just on subs in the smaller branches, but I
But
think
isn't
that
that what you have to rely on anyway?
Well,
it
they
is.
travel, right?
Yes.
But my point is, if the sub knew
Mhm.
like your employment is these places, they're not gonna
Yeah.
go to NRC or the bigger branches. They're just gonna go there. Then it's definitely like, well, you know that's what you're gonna do.
Mhm.
Like it's not. I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah,
But
no,
more hours,
yeah,
don't you?
it makes sense, and yeah, they could get more
They could
hours
get
out of
more
it, yeah.
hours that way.
I think, well, right now we have more subs than we have library assistants, so it would definitely be a change, but
But are there
it's
subs who would like to get those hours?
oh, absolutely, yeah,
So
we've got some great subs, and they would love to get those
yeah.
hours. I think that
What
it'll
about
definitely be a
the library
conversation.
assistants knowing that they could flex and they could have to go to another branch? I mean, do they do that? does that mess up the whole system? Because I mean, to me, it's like, okay, you can't really put, again, a sub that's not working regularly in a place by themselves
Mhm.
at all. So it's almost like, well, would you take this library assistant that's over here and send them down there for the day and then send a sub here? Because they can do better here than they can here. Because
That has happened a couple of
yeah,
times, but not really all that
make it
much. Yeah.
confusing. But
Because it also affects the schedule, because since, let's say they have 20 hours on their schedule for the week, and then they work, 4 hours in Archie, and they're supposed to be at Pleasant Hill, then Pleasant Hill has to adjust their hours
Mhm.
for that. But it has happened a couple of times, yeah.
yeah,
So,
because everybody has their own set hours within
Their
yeah,
branch.
yeah,
and it messes with it.
it does. I mean, I remember as a manager, heck, even as the assistant director, like scheduling is just, it's a
Yeah.
nightmare.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
It
the
always
worst
is.
part.
I've
Yeah, I
been
was
Yeah.
gonna say
scheduling
the
before,
worst
Yeah.
part of.
yeah. When somebody can't come in, you get to either show
Get to
up
go
yourself
Hmm.
or call
Well,
people.
Well, I
Dan
don't-
and
I mean-
Robin have shown up before and worked in a
That's
library
true.
before.
I
Yeah.
mean, and
Yeah.
that's being a team player.
Yeah.
Go, guys.
That's what you do.
I love
It
working
is,
in the
yeah.
branches.
Yeah, I can see how that almost could be more fun.
Sometimes,
But
yeah.
it's
Oh, it's
also-
budget season, huh?
Yeah.
Also good for them to see
Yeah.
how
What's going
things are,
on.
the flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to talk to staff there too when you're working with them.
yes. Well, you get to know
To
them
show that
better.
you're not above doing whatever work anybody else does.
Right. You're not walking on water.
Definitely not.
Okay.
Okay, well, I don't
Okay,
know if that's
okay.
I mean, I don't know if that leads anywhere or.
Right.
So-
I think
I
it's
mean,
definitely
it-
worth a conversation. I'm
I
not
mean-
sure if it's something that we could work out for the 2024 like
Year.
budget to be approved. But I think it's something that we can talk about and just kind of see.
Well, even to
trial and see
Roger's
what-
thought, is it what if I mean, like we just made a budget amendment in July.
Yeah.
Is it possible that, hey, we could go ahead and approve the budget that we decide to approve, but then as you're working on this, if you're like, this is how I'd really like for things to go, we can make an amendment to
We
that.
can, yeah.
And it would be perfectly, I mean, within,
Yeah, I don't
or-
like making
right.
budget amendments, but sometimes they're necessary. And if it involves, paying staff more and finding a more efficient way to do it, I don't mind it. But yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to increase the budget if you were to flip off of go to more library assistants and less subs. I mean,
There probably would be a little more because of the paid time off that library assistants would get.
Gotcha.
So
that's the key factor
Yeah.
there.
And, and Becky said something about library assistant making a little more than the sub. So if the sub is just putting in 8 hours a month,
Mhm.
in the library and the assistant
It's 12 hours.
A week.
12.
12 hours a week though.
That's
A week,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
right.
So I didn't know if there's any way we could, I mean, if anybody agrees with that, giving the person who's there almost 50 hours a month.
I don't
Or
know.
not,
I
no?
think it's equal work. So
Okay.
it's just one of those things. That's just me personally, and I think
Yeah, I
time is
mean-
worth something. So
Yeah.
I mean,
We
that's
had
my
these
thought
conversations
process,
with
so.
Omni too. Yeah,
Okay.
There's a reason why they have a hard time finding substitute teachers too. I mean, it's just when you don't pay enough for people's time, then they don't want to be there.
So do we have library assistants that have been,
mean,
do we have substitute library assistants that have been a substitute 3, 4, 5 years?
We have a couple of subs who have been subs for 7, 8,
Yeah,
9
I think
years.
I know one. So
10,
that's what I'm
11, 12.
wondering. Yes. So
Yeah.
they're not stuck at 1375.
Well, right now they are, because this is the first year that they made 1375. So they're not. So they're at 1375. Yes.
But theirs will go up
But
next year.
they've been here for many years,
Uh-huh.
and the person that's been here 3 months also gets 1375.
Yes, and before this compensation study, subs were also on an hourly set wage. They were not on the step system.
Right.
And so that sub that had been here for 10, 11, 12 years, the only way they got a raise was based on what cost of living increase was approved in the budget.
Okay.
So they did not have the step system.
Right.
So
And I wouldn't say the performance thing, this applies to the subs. I mean, to me, that wouldn't be the same thing. I mean, you're working maybe 8 hours a month. You're not a regular employee. And so this system right here where we're adding on top of the yearly increase, I don't know that I would say that I thought that made much sense.
Well, maybe the idea is maybe something that we need to think and talk about is the minimum number of hours to be a part of the performance base. You have to be there at least
Gotta
6
be.
months. Maybe there's a minimum number of hours in a month or in a year that they have to work. I mean, and maybe it is that 8 hours.
Right,
I
because
don't
it's
know.
performance based
but-
on,
If you're doing a performance evaluation on them, everybody needs one because we weed out poor subs too, don't we sometimes?
We do.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Yes,
we'd love to hear
please.
from
Yes.
you.
So this
Come
is
up here,
Pat. She
Pat.
is
Yeah.
she's
Come
our
up here,
HR
Pat.
generalist, and
Come up
she
here,
worked
Pat.
with Omni. She worked with Omni
on.
more than I did. So
Come and
yeah, come on up.
you don't have to be the lone one in the crowd.
The little lone person
Yeah.
in the back. Our subs don't just work 8 hours a month.
Okay.
They don't.
Okay.
We have some that could work 20 hours a week
Okay,
because they're willing to.
okay.
All right. And, you're talking a little bit about if they use the minimum hours, maybe we give an evaluation increase only to the ones who work more. You get a lot of pay inequity there when that starts to happen.
Yeah.
The branch managers have done an extremely good job of rating their subs on a scale the same as the assistants are rated.
Okay.
Robin and I just went over
Dozens.
4 branches or 5
Yeah.
branches today of their evaluations because we look at them. It's not just they write them and that's what it is.
Yeah.
We actually look at them and make sure that they're accurate.
Mm-hmm.
And if a sub isn't there, they're going to give that sub a lower rating than the subs who are there day in and day out.
So you're saying their performance ratings can be lower just in general?
Yes, in general.
Okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
And there are several subs throughout the system that actually do contribute to like programming and outreach and things like that. So they actually do have some of the similar responsibilities.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So if they're not showing up for work, they're not likely to be getting much of a performance increase anyway.
Correct.
That's true.
That's totally fair, and that makes
Yep.
total sense.
Yes.
Okay, I appreciate your
That's
explaining
okay.
that.
Yeah.
And it keeps our
Yeah.
pay, our pay equal.
Yeah.
If you understand what I'm
So
saying.
we can
It
avoid
doesn't
those
give any
dirty
disparity
phrases.
in it. It just,
Yeah.
You have a reason that everybody's got what
cross-
they're getting.
correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Yes.
that makes more sense. Because I'm picturing, like, as we're explaining this, I'm like picturing these random people that are coming in and nobody's really working a whole lot. And I'm like,
No.
exactly, but that's not the case.
No,
Okay,
it's not. No.
Gotcha.
We have a few,
You. Yeah.
that we know who they are and
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yep.
Okay.
And if it gets past verbal coaching, we've got performance improvement plans. Like we've
Mm-hmm.
got a system in place to hopefully correct the behavior.
We do.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
even with the subs who refuse work, you asked that earlier.
Yeah.
They can't refuse more than 3 times or it's like job abandonment,
Okay.
Gotcha.
pretty much.
Yeah. Unless
know.
they have a specific
It-
reason
correct.
behind that.
Yes,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's in our sub policy.
it is.
Okay.
It's right in the policy.
Oh, yeah. I think I remember reading that now.
Yes.
We have a lot in our policy.
We,
We do.
seriously?
Yeah, I remember that now.
I got that. Yeah, okay.
And correct me if I'm wrong too, but I mean, just so you guys know too, our subs they want to be subs, most of them, I would
Yes.
say. That's the position they want
Yeah.
to have. And they are more than welcome to apply when any, 12 to 40 hour library assistant job opens up. So they are not, all just sitting there waiting for anything or something like that. Most of them, that's where they want to be. So
Perfect.
And we will post, or if we have an opening that's, the 12, 20, whatever hour within a branch, I post it internally first.
Gotcha.
And I give them the chance to apply
Yeah.
before we go external.
Yeah.
So
That
they
makes
do have the opportunity.
Yeah.
Good.
No, that's good. That's good.
So this 2,078,300
Yes,
includes performance-based raises
it
and
does.
the 3%.
Yes, and that number is based on the scores that were assessed last year. So,
And so we're in the process right now of doing all the evaluations, aren't
yes.
we?
So it may not be that. It may be lower.
And
So,
when will the evaluations be completed? Will we have will we know if this is solid before our November meeting?
the process
Because-
needs to be done by December 1st.
Well,
So,
the evaluations are given by December 1st.
okay.
But you'll have the information
We'll
before
have
that.
the information before that. We
Okay.
should. Because by the time we get through with looking at every evaluation, that goes back to the branch managers for any adjustments that might be needed on those evaluations. We'll have that done within a couple of weeks
Okay.
now. So by the November meeting, we ought to have a better idea of what that looks
Okay.
like. I
So
can
then,
run those new numbers
All
if
right.
that's the case.
so
Awesome.
yes.
That's good.
Mhm.
That's good. Excellent.
So we've had 6 turnovers out of
Mhm.
25 total assistants this year.
Yes.
I think it's 24.
24.
3 full-time and 22 part-time, you said.
Two full time. Sorry.
Okay.
I just looked at Lori's sheet. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So we're talking about 25% turnover, 10%?
No,
20.
7%. It's actually, that's assistants and subs. That all goes into the same category.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
so then that's out of 20.
How many subs
50.
do we
So
have?
how many
31.
assistants turned over? I'd like that data.
Okay, I have to count that one
Just
separate.
email me later. I'd like
That's
to
okay.
know
I
how
have to
many.
count that one
Oh, yeah,
separate, but
it
of
didn't.
those 6,
Which ones are you talking about? The library assistant?
the assistants, yes.
Specifically?
I would just have to specifically count the assistants because most of our turnover has been in the subcategory as opposed to the assistant
Okay, well,
category.
That's a good sign.
Good for me to know.
Yes, it is.
But
I can,
I was viewing that the
Genealogy.
turnover was with
All
the
library
assistants.
Those hours.
And
no,
again, like I said, I have a problem with the assistants and the subs
Right.
making the same wage
Right.
right now.
most of it's been in the subs, not the assistants.
Okay.
Thinking back till January of last year.
And I know you
I
don't
think
want
we
to
just
create
had
another
one.
line.
Yeah,
So I
I think
won't
that's
push
been
it.
it.
But
I think
Everybody else has been
we had one in
subs.
January, and that
Yeah.
was it. And that was a 20-hour library assistant went to a sub,
Right.
and then we hired a 20-hour library assistant to take her
Correct.
place.
So she didn't quit. She
And
just
that
went
was
to
it.
this.
She wanted
An
less,
assistant
she
went
wanted
down
less
to a
hours.
sub.
She wanted that more flexibility.
Yeah,
in
and
the
there
hours.
was, yeah.
That makes sense.
So
I mean,
it's
There you go.
it's
Sometimes,
been
yeah.
very, very little. We're at a 7% turnover, which is unheard of almost.
that's
For
good.
2023?
Yes.
It was worse. I've
It
been
was
here when it
worse.
was worse.
Oh yeah.
I know when we first reopened full after COVID. Oh my gosh,
Oh.
it was a nightmare.
Yes. It was
We had
double
a lot
digit
of
at
we
that
had a
point.
lot of people who left us.
Yes.
But
Double-digit
we
then.
are
Wow.
solid now.
Good.
Very good.
Yeah,
Excellent.
and we really do have great staff. I know I say that a lot,
We
but
do. We do.
we do.
I'm guessing you
So,
believe that.
I do. I really believe that. So.
Yeah.
And I love going to a branch and working at the desk and then them reminding me of something. It's like, oh yeah, that's on me. So it's great.
It's funny.
That's all.
So you'll be able to give us a firm answer or a pretty decent answer
Pretty
on
decent
whether we're
answer, yeah.
allowing enough money
Yeah.
in the
Yes.
current
Yes.
budget.
Uh-huh.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll have to rerun those numbers, but yes.
Okay, cool.
So basically, before we approve this budget in November, we'll have a better feel on salaries and
Yes,
benefits.
yes.
We'll know what
Mhm.
those are going to be.
Yes, and
It's
yeah,
basically
whatever
that.
the salaries are, the benefits basically adjusts with that depending on where our benefits eligible people lie, because it's usually a percentage
Yeah.
for some things.
Okay.
So
Good.
Is there anything else in personnel? Or are we ready to move on to operations?
I don't have any questions. Those are the main things I was thinking about.
Okay. Well then, let us move on to operations.
all right.
All right. First up is the rent.
The rent. Yes.
So I did get confirmation from you, your numbers for rent for Harrisonville
Mhm.
were the numbers that we were sent in June, whereas
Yes.
unless we're going to totally turn from what we've been doing, is not going to be an accurate number.
Right.
Yes, but I want to budget what is actually in there,
You want to
just
budget
in
for it,
case.
knowing that, do we need to have another vote then?
We will
Before
have to.
2024?
Well, we will have,
About what
well,
we're gonna do
I
with
would
that.
recommend that because
Yeah.
if the board does choose not to pay the amount again, the amount will be different, but it
Right.
won't be the same 7373 that it has been.
Right,
So
so
yeah.
we'll need to vote again, like in December, we'll need to vote on that.
yeah, I was gonna say, depending on how the wording of the vote was, if it was
It was
just
exact
that.
numbers.
It
Was
was.
it? Okay, because
Mhm.
I was thinking if it
Yeah.
was, we're not gonna include these in the rent.
Yeah,
then-
but
okay.
we did do exact numbers, so we will need
Okay.
to put that in the December.
Yeah. But yeah,
meeting.
so for now, for the 2024 budget, we are budgeting what is in that letter.
Okay.
So
Okay. Yeah, and they did include that extra money
Oh,
for
yeah.
their slush fund.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. Yep. Okay. Did you have any other questions about rent? Any thoughts?
So I wanted to ask a question. I don't know if this maybe is for another time, but we've got the rent increase that's happening at NRC for the expansion and stuff. But I was just at NRC this last week, and there's already water damage.
they're working on it. Yeah,
But how long is it gonna take to get it? I mean, like we're now starting to pay more money for something that isn't what we signed on for.
I know.
So how
I hear
long
that
are
frustration.
so what's I mean, I guess my biggest concern is this is this going to be an ongoing thing?
The last conversation that I had with Rod, based on the conversation I had with Paul, is that they have civil engineers in, and they are working on the immediate problem with the gutters and the drainage, and then they're going to be working on the walls. The walls will not be immediate, but they are working on it. I do not have a timeline, so but yes, we've been going back and forth on this.
So your thought process is that should we be paying extra rent when we don't have use of all the area that we were supposed to have?
My thought process is, are we getting what we,
What we're paying
are we
for? Yeah.
getting what we're paying for?
Yeah.
Is my thought process. And I know,
I get what you're
I walked through all the back areas and stuff, and I'm thinking, in my mind, I'm trying to reconcile. There's still a lot of things that kind of need to be finished up. It seemed like.
Well,
No, like there's still, everything is done that was
for
agreed to.
for the expansion, yes. Yeah, the back workroom wasn't going to have any work done, including paint. We did the paint ourselves.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that wasn't going to be done. And then the
I just know it was
furthest back,
flooded.
yes, and that's
And-
from the gutters and yes.
So my concern, I guess, is the ruination of some of our stuff in the process of still dealing with water
Yes,
at a place that is supposed to have been fixed.
yes. We've
That's
been
where-
we've
this
been
is my-
assured that it will be fixed and we will not be paying for it too. So, but I don't have a timeline. But yeah, I'm working on it. So.
So at the end of the day, are you saying that you think,
Oh,
and I'm not disagreeing with what, like, and I'm having my own thoughts because I didn't realize that was going on. But, if you agree to have a space and then that landlord doesn't provide that space that's basically watertight, we're going to put it that way, which was sitting probably up here, but another discussion. The question is, should we be paying for the full raise in rent because they haven't completed and they haven't done their end of the bargain?
They're making an honest effort
Are we,
to
like,
fix it.
a month away, or are we like,
I don't know
you
what the
don't have any
timeline
for-
is, but they are making an honest effort, and I would just in my experience, I would advise not getting in another dispute over rent that we are paying. I think that they are making an honest effort, and we are working on it, and we're not going to be on the hook for any of the repairs. So I have talked to the owner, and I've talked to Paul, who's the project manager for the expansion, and he's actually taking this on. This was not part of his work. This is the original building, and he basically said, we're going to get this fixed, and you're not going to pay for it. So
Can you work to get us a timeline?
yeah,
That would be very
absolutely.
beneficial,
Mhm.
because I don't want, I don't want it to be, we'll get, we're gonna get this fixed, and then 3 months later, we're still asking you what's going on.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if you could
Mhm.
work to get us a timeline,
Sure.
that would be very helpful.
Yeah, I want to know too.
But we've also
Yeah.
had some unusually heavy rains that people have stuff in their basement that they never had water before. Yeah, I mean, it's been an unusual.
We lost the kiosk in one of them.
Right.
Right.
So,
Yep. Yep.
Okay, anything else in rent? Utilities?
Yeah.
So some questions that I had, what are the expenses at Harrisonville that were with consideration to what the CCIC, you said Harrisonville utilities were $5,900?
That includes genealogy and administration, but that does include the trash. That also includes the wait. So a big part of that is the library phone system, because that's the utility, and that it's for Harrisonville admin, but it's really for the entire county. And let's see. Also, we pay for 3 staff cell phones, and hotspots. So that's really the stuff for. Actually, sorry, I separated the phones out. The phones are separate, but the hotspots and the cell phones are in that number. What else is in there for
So the phone system
Harrisonville?
is not a part of that number? that what you're
No,
saying?
not of the 5,900. No.
Okay. So the only thing that is unusual is the trash.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, and that I think if you look at it from last year, I think the trash is going to be like 1,900 for this year, I think. This is the one.
So the phone system does not include cell phones. Are those all included in the individual branches?
No,
Is that
that is under that's under admin. So the Harrisonville genealogy admin. So basically that 5,900 is for the cell phones for staff and the trash. So trash is the only utility we're paying at
So
Harrisonville.
there's only 3 cell phones. Is that what you
Yes.
said? Okay.
Yes.
And
Wait,
that's, I'm assuming, you,
4.
Robin. Oh, is there more?
5.
at least
5.
4.
5. Because there's mine, there's Robin, there's Lori, there's Zach, and then there's the bookmobile.
We had one for the van. Did we cancel that?
Oh, no, 5. Yeah, the van. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, we have the van one too. Okay.
Courier.
6.
6.
Hardly call that one, but in case we need to.
Okay. So there's 6.
Well, I think if you've got an employee out driving around the county between
Absolutely.
branches, they do need to have a cell phone.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I'm just trying to understand. Yeah, I
He had
have
a
no
flip
issue
phone
with
for the
it.
longest time, and then we finally upgraded it.
The coolest, the coolest.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so what did you base, I mean, the Pleasant Hill estimates on? Like, where did you come up with this number?
Doubled it.
So
Like,
yeah,
did you look at like other buildings in the Harrisonville area that are about the same size that you can contact and check, or did you just do a
so we compared it to NRC.
On utilities?
Yeah, on
Yes.
utilities.
Yes, because it's about the same square foot, and then we also based it on what we were paying with no occupancy in it.
Mhm.
Oh, gotcha.
because we've been paying utilities
Yeah.
on it.
Mhm.
So I have those numbers somewhere. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
but yeah, we took all that into consideration. So
So you feel pretty good about those numbers that you've allowed for?
Is it something we can do about all those windows in Pleasant Hill during
So
the
they are
winter?
they're
We
beautiful.
could have not put them in.
They
Yeah,
are,
they-
well, actually,
What?
the original plan actually had, I think, 8 more windows, but we actually reduced that to keep it on budget. But so the windows are UV rated. They're like triple paned. They're also like tinted, and there's shades on them. So if we want to reduce, I keep
I am
turning
going
it
to
up.
freeze.
That's why I put them in.
But yeah, so they are rated, and there are things that we can do, like pull those shades, draw the shades, so that it does impact our bill less. So they are beautiful.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. Yeah, and we only have a limited number of windows on the west side. So most of our windows are on the north side, and there's some on the south side, but there's not as many on the west side, which was originally in the plan too, but there was a brick wall there, so.
So anything else on utilities? All right, next up is building maintenance.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll ask questions. What are the fixed costs and what are they? What are those costs? Like with that you're putting in this building maintenance, what are the fixed costs? I know there's additional
Yeah,
things, but
fixed costs, we have commercial mats, we have well, we have an allowance for lighting. We have the cleaning service and carpet cleaning. We do carpet cleaning once a year at the smaller branches and a couple of times at the larger branches. We have window cleaning at NRC, Garden City, and now Pleasant Hill. And then we have mowing and we have pest removal. Those are the set costs. And then we've got the HVAC service and deductible, which, just in case, I broke down what it was. Basically 15,000 for NRC if we have to replace, 5,000 maintenance, 2,000 for Pleasant Hill just in case, and another 8,000 for Harrisonville in case something happens here and we're on the hook for it. So I would not
that was
imagine we are.
30,000 total, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. That's that HVAC service part of that.
Is Drexel all fixed?
Um,
We did a new unit there, didn't
yes,
we?
Can I speak a little on that one?
Sure, Zach.
Just because I've actually gone and seen
Yeah.
it. Yes, there's a brand new unit. It is a American
5,000.
standard. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure branded, and it is. I don't remember what the BTUs is.
I think
All I know
5,000.
it's about triple
What it
the
was.
BTU rating as the
Okay.
prior unit. It's now on new refrigerant. And it's all hooked up. I did check over piping. I plan on calling and having it verified by profession, actually Shannon. And
Okay.
otherwise everything checked out, and hopefully next summer it goes a lot more smoother.
Yeah.
We never had
all
a
good.
heating issue. We always
We
had
never
the
had a heating
cooling.
issue. We always had a cooling
The
issue.
furnace I don't believe is older than 6 or 8 years.
Yeah. So
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And did we pay for that?
we pay for half.
Half of it.
Yes.
So we got them to pay
Yeah.
for half.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Sweet. All right.
Okay, that's good.
It was supposed to be done in April, but I'll take October. Yeah. But no, we got it. So
Okay. And then question you had in here about landscaping. Is this
yes.
the one you had like at the P Hill location? Like, are you talking about full on landscaping or just what did you
There will
mean
be
there?
some landscaping that we have done. Tucker, who does everything up there, we haven't met with him to see exactly what's going to entail, but most of the landscaping will be taking care of the native plants and mulching, and that's actually covered for a year. And so starting in probably next September, we will have to add that, and that will be a cost to us. But for the first year, we will not have that.
So then it's not developing the landscaping, it's
Taking care of
taking
it,
care
yes.
of the lands.
Mhm.
Okay,
Land
I was
Currently
because
there.
Land management, yes, there we
because
go.
my question was going to be if we're having to develop the landscaping, would that maybe be more of a
Oh, yeah, no.
branch improvement thing as
No.
opposed to gotcha. So it's already there.
Yes.
We're just keeping it up.
Yeah.
I was thinking along, and if we were gonna be developing plans or whatever, maybe the FFA for Cass County, Harrisonville or something could be involved.
Yeah,
or
that's
something
not-
like that. Okay,
No, that's not that. So,
okay.
all right, I got through all your questions in your email, Tanya.
Is there anything else on the building? I mean, basically the large increase you're expecting is because of P Hill.
Yeah, pretty
And
much. Yeah.
We pay for mowing here, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
right?
Not here.
Oh, no, not here.
Okay,
Not
good,
here.
good. We
No,
we
but
were
we-
asked that question the
We
other
do
day.
pay for,
The CCIC is
we pay for the lot over there.
Just what we
Okay.
own.
Yes.
for our actual
Mhm.
lot.
for the lot.
Yeah, we only pay mowing for what we own.
No, I mean, like, the CCIC doesn't take care of paying for that here at this,
Is there anything?
at the
to-
Harrisonville property.
Oh.
I'm asking you, do we pay for mowing
No.
here at the Harrisonville?
No, we do not.
No.
Right, that was the question I
Okay.
had. And then I got confused by what you said after that.
No,
So-
we do not pay
okay.
for this
You were
lot
saying we own that lot.
Oh, yeah.
across Pearl,
And
yeah.
that's
So,
And we
yes,
pay for
that was
that.
it.
but we do not pay for mowing here.
Okay.
The other thing I was gonna ask about, like the building maintenance of services, I know there was a few years ago when I first came on that we were discussing like the custodial cleaning and stuff and kind of stayed the route. Like, have we done any? It's been how many years has it been since we've gone out for bids or estimates on like lawn service and cleaning and different things like that to make sure we're still getting the best deal we can get? How long has it been since?
For cleaning, it's been 2 years.
Okay.
And we just added the extra space at Pleasant Hill. And yeah, it has worked out really well at the large branches because they have crews, usually 2 crews that just come in at night and they clean like 2 or 3 times a week.
I remember here there had been kind of some issues with how well it was being done. Is that?
Yes, that has been worked out. Yeah. And at Pleasant Hill, like their first couple of cleans at the new space, it wasn't great because they weren't exactly sure how far we wanted them to go, and that's all good now. Yeah.
Good.
So, and it was also a new crew, but yeah, Pleasant Hill actually had the least amount of issues back like last year, so
Yeah.
we're good.
Okay. What about, I know we're kind of coming out of the lawn service season, but how long has it been since there's been any bids or just finding out if we're getting the best deal on that?
Well, I know that before Steve left, he did call around and got some bids for mowing and like snow removal, and most of the companies do both, which is
Yeah.
nice. So that was almost, well, a year and a half. Wait, how long have you been here, Zach?
About
21.
exactly a year and a half. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so about a year and a half.
Yeah.
He called about almost exactly 2 years ago because I have those files.
Okay,
Okay, cool.
all right.
Any more on that? Okay, we can move on.
We're happy with the guy, just so you know, that does our mowing. And one thing we will have to consider is snow removal now at Pleasant Hill. We've not ever had to do that before because our landlord has always taken care of that. So
Now it's us.
we've already talked to him and he does do that on top of his mowing and landscaping business. A lot of them do in the
Yeah.
winter because they don't
They
do
don't have lawns
mowing
to
and
mow.
landscaping in the winter.
Just
so.
do it on a
Yeah.
per piece business.
Yeah, he said, I mean, we'll talk to him about it. I don't know for sure. He just said he does that. So for parking lot and sidewalks, shoveling the sidewalks and stuff like that. At Pleasant Hill, we don't have a lot of huge snows, but when we do, we don't want everyone, our staff or patrons traipsing through all that or not being able to park in our parking lot up there. So,
Okay.
yep. That was something new. So made sure we had some in the budget for that too. That's also in building maintenance. So
What are we looking at for the development of all that extra land there at Pleasant Hill?
Um, there's a lot of things we can do with it. What I would love to do, my dream is to have a kind of a green space and a story walk that's there, like kind of a permanent story walk. And then I'm hoping that the activity grows and grows and grows and justifies an expansion. And we can expand probably about another 5 to 6,000 square feet south, and then we'll still have that green space on the west, that we can make just like an outdoor space. Uh, that may not happen for 20, 25 years, but
Not in
who
my
knows?
lifetime.
Maybe, I mean, it has been gangbusters at that branch, so who knows? But yeah, my first plan would be having a dedicated outdoor space, like a story walk, that we can switch out the story and just have a nice outdoor space for those residents.
There's just something off the top of my head. I don't know if Pleasant Hill has this in any of their parks or anything, that we could make your story walk into an exercise area where you stop every so often and do an exercise or whatever. And
I
make,
mean,
and a lot of cities have that in their parks
Hmm.
now. It'd be, something to give people a reason to walk over there.
yeah.
I don't think it's big enough to get much mileage in.
Well, probably not much mileage, but if
Yeah.
you have to stop and
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
10 burpees?
six
Yeah.
chin-ups or something.
Yeah,
You
10
know?
burpees
Oh my
every
gosh.
like 10 feet. Yeah.
Oh my
Nobody likes that story, okay? I'll get you in
I don't
shape,
want to
but
see
that's
incident reports on
awful.
heat exhaustion.
Exactly.
But yeah, so there's it has a lot of potential, because originally when we got it, we're like, oh yeah, we'll build a library, we'll just sell off the other part. But I think that there's a lot of things that we could do to provide good space for our library patrons. Okay.
Sorry, I'm writing something down. We're moving on to supplies.
It's a very exciting line.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's not much to really talk
Yeah.
about.
Just-
You know the
just checking.
supplies you've used,
Yep, it's just
you know what you need.
we're accounting for a larger increase in supplies, because instead of having one bathroom at Pleasant Hill, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So,
We have more at NRC too.
oh, and we have
Yeah.
more at NRC. So yeah, so we accounted for that. Mhm.
All right, activities.
Activities. It's essentially the same, even though it looks like it's bigger. The branch lines are essentially the same, but where the increase comes from is that we added Beanstack, which is our summer library program management system, winter reading supplies, and 1,000 books before kindergarten. We also added LibCal in here, which there wasn't a place for this in the 2023 budget, but it is there now. But that is the system that we use to register people for events and now to book our rooms at the branches.
And remember that the foundation supplements this to the tune of $3,000 a year in award books.
Yeah.
So if the foundation wasn't here, the youth services would need more funds.
Well, that's a question I have. Youth services, the money that was allocated last year was 15,000. So
Mhm.
you've increased 40%. You're up to 21,000.
hmm
What's that justification there?
Well, Beanstack is a big part of that. Beanstack is 2,500.
So it's
and-
coming out of the youth services.
Yes. Yep. Because that's what it does do winter reading, but the overwhelming majority of that is for the youth. And has made our lives so much easier for summer library program and winter reading.
And then just the additional, what's
The
the thinking on that with the youth services?
in case the foundation doesn't continue supplementing. So
We don't do some fundraisers, which we are
Right, I
considering
don't-
on, if we don't get any money in, we can't supplement.
I know this isn't really but you know, it's not directly budget related, but I am trying to move the foundation more into growing their funds instead of just like, oh, we raised $500, let's give it to the library. Like as you know, foundations need to be raising money, investing money, and making money off their money so that it can be a more solvent foundation. And so I want to work toward that. And that may mean that they don't give us the money every year for the prize books. Maybe they do something else to raise money and then apportion that, bless
Bless
you,
you.
apportion that out later throughout the years. So,
Anything else in activities?
yeah.
Okay. We got postage and document
What
delivery.
about,
Oh.
Pleasant Hill, can they do mail delivery to our building now?
That's what
Or,
I was gonna ask.
somebody has to leave and go get it at the post office every day?
Yeah, we
And I mean,
signed up for a post office box, right?
Yeah, we have
Okay.
one.
We're going, yeah, and we are going to see if they can deliver to us, but we do have the post office box for 6 months.
and they're not very expensive, are they?
Uh,
It's
no.
probably like
$70, $80?
Yeah, it was like 80 or 90.
Yeah, but I was just wondering at this point in Pleasant Hill, if
Yeah.
the truck is going right by the library,
Mhm.
they can go through the drop off to
I
leave the
believe they
books and ring the
they
doorbell.
required us to have a mailbox, is what they said. They
okay.
would not bring it in or drop it off.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we would have to have a mailbox
And
outside.
I think we were trying to determine whether
That's
Yeah.
worth it.
If they get stuff on Saturday, then it's sitting there for the weekend. I understand now.
Yeah.
Or
That's the same situation our church is in. We have
Yeah.
so it doesn't sit out. Okay,
or you
never mind.
No, I think it's a good question. It might be something to not totally discount either. I mean,
Yeah.
because you're looking at, you're paying the post office box continually, but if you put an actual mailbox in, yeah, you're
Yeah.
gonna have an upfront cost, but
Mhm.
you're not gonna be paying every month.
Is
Yeah.
there any way
We would
to
just-
make it locked and watertight? I mean, that would be my biggest thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
Yeah.
the
probably, it's
maintenance
just-
and
And I would be worried about where to put it so that it looks pretty.
Right.
Yeah,
But yeah.
It doesn't get
So-
hit.
But a mailbox can be virtually anything anymore. At one time, it had to be a certain size, a certain color. You can make it virtually anything. And so we can have basically a book drop like we got outside here, right next to the highway, wherever their little van is going by, and have them drop the mail
Drop
right
it
in
in.
where the book drop would be, along
Well,
with the
that
books,
is a
and
good
anybody else that wanted to drop by and drop some books in there every day.
I don't
And
know
that
if
way
that's-
be secure over the weekend and everything else.
I don't think they can put it in the same place you drop books. Like the mailbox has
Well, I
to
think
be.
his point is having something like that. I don't know. You weren't meaning actually have a book drop like the same place, but having something that was like that
Yeah,
for
something,
our
you know, like
mailbox.
it's got the flip door on
Yeah.
it, so the mail
Yeah.
would be flipped down in the bottom.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, something like that,
Okay.
not an actual
Something,
book drop.
something similar to that.
Yeah.
We'd have, we can discuss it with them. It's a small town. They'll surely get along with us fairly well.
Yeah,
But for initial opening and forwarding our mail from the other location,
Right.
we got a post office
Yeah.
box just so
that's
we could
fine.
get
so we used
open.
to have
was good.
delivery at the old place.
But they have a giant mailbox on Highway 7.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and
That was
so,
always hanging open.
and because we didn't
Yeah.
have a building through the summer, but we were still getting mail, we had the mailbox.
I think they just went to actually they held our mail at the post office.
Okay,
And I remember because Monica went up there, I think it was like early August, and it was just they
Stacked.
called us and it was just stacks and stacks. And honestly, the branches don't get a
That's what
ton
I
of
was wondering,
mail.
what-
So it was mostly junk. But like it was just a
do their
massive amount.
newspapers come by mail?
Some do, some
They
don't.
come here and we,
Okay.
So what
Yeah.
do the branches get by mail that they actually like justify post office boxes?
I think
Some of the
Nope.
periodicals go.
Somewhat?
Some
of the
periodicals go
periodicals.
directly, and I mean
I thought
every
you were just saying that they came here first.
some periodicals. Some of them are direct orders, and they will go straight to them.
Magazines.
do
um,
patrons write letters or thank you notes
Yeah, I was
to their,
just gonna say that
you
happens
know,
too.
thank you for
Mhm.
doing that or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
It's not a ton of stuff, but
Great.
Even though the utilities are set up to be billed here, every once in a while they'll get
yeah,
something from
that's true.
utilities,
Yeah.
you know, because that's the service address.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Makes
just
sense.
continually, they get things that should come here to headquarters and they just get delivered there. So
Yeah.
they get a steady stream.
Okay, equipment rental.
When did we sign this lease?
In 19, no, 20.
Of what?
On
For
the-
the
For
equipment, the equipment
copier.
lease for the copiers.
Oh,
Was
yeah.
that 19? Because it ends in June of 2024.
It was a 3-year, I think.
Okay,
thought-
June of 2024.
So was it 21? Maybe it was 21, yeah.
So
So will
Yeah.
we be getting
I
a
can
new bid?
remember Steve doing
Yeah,
it.
so yeah, probably around April, we will start courting different companies, and then they will probably offer to take us to Royals games or feed us. Like it's crazy. Copy companies want your business.
Well, that's a hefty price tag, so I
It
can
is.
see that.
Yeah. But yeah, so we will start going through that process in April. And there's 4 or 5 right here in Kansas City. We're with GFI Digital right now, and there's some other good ones too. And it's not just, who can provide the best equipment. I mean, we look at service plans, and we also look at they all have different pricing structures. So like it'll include, for example, it may include like 5,000 prints a month. And after that, we have to pay a certain amount per additional print. Like you're not going to find any service anymore that just lets you have
Unlimited.
unlimited prints.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Really?
oh yeah, especially for we're commercial for
But we
that.
know what we're doing pretty much.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah. And so, and part of the reason, because we added color printing when we switched to GFI Digital, and we added color printing, and that's why it's 50 cents, because that's basically the recovery cost for us, because that's what it costs us for additional
How many
prints.
copiers do we have that this includes?
We have at least one at every branch. We have Archie, Drexel, Garden City. We will have 2 at Pleasant Hill. We'll have 3 in the Harrisonville building. We'll have 2 at NRC.
Admin.
Oh yeah,
We have
admin
12.
has 2. So yeah, we'll have 12.
We have 12.
And some of them are big and some of them are small. So just
And
depends.
so the increase that is 15%, you're expecting that's what it's going to cost to maintain what we have?
Yes. Yeah, that's and that goes with the prints too. Yeah, I'm expecting that it will not be the same price as it was 3 years ago. So uh
Plus, didn't we add copiers at P Hill? Wasn't that part of it?
yes, and we're adding a copier at Pleasant Hill. Yeah. Because right now they just have one big one and one that's not very good. But we're going to add it to that actually is connected with GFI. And they're really great with service. I've been with a couple of copier companies and they're great. They just about drop anything for us. And they have techs who live in town. Actually, the tech who came out to Pleasant Hill used to be one of Monica's FFA students, and now he's working on copiers. And it was like
Nice.
it was nice for them to see each other.
Like a
But yeah, he
family
was right there in
reunion.
town. I know, he was right there in town.
So
So it
we'll
was,
increase to 13, is that what you're saying? Or is that what you were saying about P Hill? We'll increase another one, or we've increased another one?
I counted 12. It
You
might be
counted
13.
You counted to a
I
Pleasant
did
Hill.
count it to Pleasant Hill.
Yeah, you did.
It might be 13, but it's 12 or 13. But yeah, we have at least one at every location, except the bookmobile. The bookmobile does not have one that is part of this
Right.
contract.
Yeah.
So, because they don't sell a printer that's small enough for it.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else on that?
No.
Vehicle operations, I mean, it's the same.
Yep.
Travel and dues, it's a slight increase.
Yeah.
Uh, Anything there?
Let's
Professional,
see.
oh, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing really significant. It's just based on what we've spent this year. So,
Professional dues, anything
Yeah.
there? What does it mean when you say at the end of that, this amount was informed by branch budget request for the year?
So we now have a branch budget request form. We sent those out in July, and branches could say, "Hey, I think my branch could use this." And one of the tabs on the sheet was professional development, and like how many webinars they want to them or their staff to go to. And so we're trying it out. We're gonna uh, give them that budget, and then they're going to have that to manage. So let's say Archie wanted $600 for professional development. We're going to say, all right, here's $600. You manage your budget. Once $600 is up, that's it. So that's it was informed by that.
Gotcha.
So
Have you identified who's going to Doniphan this year?
We
have
talked
we?
about it.
We've talked about it
We've
a couple
talked
times.
about it. We haven't yet. I just emailed the professor there to get the exact dates and the sign up, which is coming soon. So we kind of talked about it the other day, but we haven't actually selected
Okay,
the
Yeah.
person.
okay, good.
And do they have to apply with us, with the library to want to do it, or is it just an expectation of certain positions?
This is something that we are approaching a
Okay.
manager or supervisor,
Okay.
and then they do have to apply for the program.
Correct.
Usually they get in, and then it's a 6-month program. It meets once a month, and it ends with a presentation that includes the culmination of everything they learned. And Karen went last year, and she actually gave her presentation to the other branch managers before she gave her full presentation. It's a really great program. I did not go through it, but I've heard great things about it. And at the beginning of the program, you try to identify something that you want to work on, and then as you go through the program, you may find out that that's maybe not what you should work on. But yeah, it's been really great. I think Karen got a lot out of it, and I think that whoever we send is going to get a lot out of it. So I'm looking forward to having a second person in there.
Anything else there on professional development? Insurance? I don't know whether there's a lot of questions to be asked here. We saw the increase. We don't, I mean, it's hard to say what it could be.
Yeah,
I
it could be much more. But there are two things in here that are a definite
Okay.
increase, and that's the incident report system and the email archive that I mentioned for
G Suite.
G Suite. Yeah. Cheap. They're there.
When are you going to, so we won't start G Suite until January?
No, that actually started this year.
We
That
did
started
start.
on August 28th, I believe.
Okay.
So,
Do
and
we
this
see any difference? I haven't seen any.
There are some other features that really aren't very prominent, but most of it is on the back end and the
Okay.
management of the organization and the
That'll
archive.
help when we get Sunshine Revival.
Yes,
Right.
and storage. So if you look down at the bottom of your inbox, it'll say like using whatever of whatever.
Oh, yeah.
It used to be, I think it used to be like 100 gigs. Now like every account has like 5 terabytes.
There's no need for us to be
It's
deleting
incredible.
stuff really out of our email.
No,
No,
not really.
I don't usually do that in my G Suite. So yeah, okay.
So,
Where do you put everything?
you
Just
can,
leave it in my Gmail account.
or you can put it in folders.
I was
I
gonna say,
mean,
I've got some folders, but I mean, there's so many emails that I'm like, how do I find
It's
stuff
a
if I?
terabyte. Well, I organize
No,
it, yeah, but
Yeah, my point is
it's
that
a
the,
terabyte.
it's.
yeah, no, I get that. It's just some are,
I
like
think
some
I think I
emails.
think I'm up to 16,000 since 2017.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's being saved whether whether we save it or not, correct?
Right.
All
Yeah.
of the emails.
You're right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it comes through the back end.
Yes.
Thank you.
hmm
Um,
Yeah.
okay.
And that's all public knowledge, right?
Can be.
It can be
If
unless
requested.
it is a record that can be closed according to the Missouri state statutes, which I mean,
If we have a conversation with our lawyer, that's
yes.
no one else's business.
Yeah, like anything that is
There we go.
right in here, all of these, there's like 23 different sections, 24. Those can be closed, and the only way to get those, and even then it doesn't work, is by subpoena. Like if it's personnel issues, it's going to be really hard for someone to get those.
Yes.
But when they do, it's probably going to be a lawsuit, and that's. But yeah,
But that
Uh,
would go to our lawyer then.
Right.
So
exactly.
that somebody
If anything,
can't,
it
you're
would
saying
go
somebody
public.
can't walk in and say, I want a Freedom of Information Act. I want to see all the emails that have gone through the system.
Well, I mean, they can go through the process, they can fill out the form, and then I will inform them. I'll be like, well, I can give you some things, but if it's a record that can be closed under Missouri state law, you can't have that. And then I'll call Jeremy and be like, hey, we got a request. What should I do? So, and he'll give me a recommendation there. So, yes, I mean, anyone can do that at any time, but yeah. If it's something that can be closed, then
But
it
a lot
doesn't
of
have to be.
things that
Yep.
we've been getting through the email and so forth, Freedom of Information Act probably doesn't cover it. I mean, probably would cover all that. Somebody could walk in and say, I want to see all of the emails between your board and you and so forth.
That's what they
Freedom
did
of
last
I was
Information
gonna
Act.
say,
would
it,
Yeah.
cover
it
That's
was
what they
just
did
done.
last
Yeah.
month.
Yeah. I would say the overwhelming majority of the emails that you all have is like library business and open record.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Okay. Marketing and promotions. So this here is a 28% increase.
mhm.
Um, can you?
That is completely the mailers. So we sent out mailers this spring to like re-engage patrons, and it was coupled with an email section of that. And this basically adds money in there to cover that in 2024.
So here's where my question comes in. And I know I've just started asking you about these things just in emails, but where are the KPIs to show that that was actually a valuable thing?
They were in the
Because
presentation that I gave, but I can share
what
that. But
presentation?
I gave a presentation. It was it was March or April, but I talked about how many households it went to, um, and how many
Right, but
people we
I'm
re-engaged.
looking at like that re-engagement stuff, and I'm looking at like active users and different things like that and going, I'm not seeing a big difference. So I'm trying to understand what are, we need some ongoing performance indicators that give us an understanding of, is this actually the thing we ought to do?
Sorry about that.
Instead of
Well,
just throwing money at stuff going, well,
no,
we got it at a lot of
I know that it
places.
re-engaged a lot of people. The thing with active users is it's in the past year. So even though we got those people back, we may have lost some too. So
Right. So
that happens.
So what we need is some kind of development of some performance indicators that will show us the benefit
That we're
and
not
value.
throwing money
Yeah,
away.
the value
Right.
of doing this targeted marketing again.
Right.
That
Should
makes
this money,
sense?
is this money being invested well, or should we put it somewhere
Should we do
else?
something else with
Yeah.
it?
I mean, this was one of them that I look at, and I mean, it's the same thing. Like if I decide I'm going to do something to advertise my real estate, if it doesn't work, like I'm paying for leads. Not one of those leads have turned out because they keep bringing me cruddy people, and so it's like, now I'm not going to do that the same way this time. I'm going to change how I'm going to do it over the next
Yeah.
year, type of
Well,
thing.
I mean, it's not
So-
going to be the only thing that we use, but I think it was something like 750 people we re-engaged. And so there's
But
going to be
how-
other things that we need to do too.
But at the same time, you're saying there were 750 people we re-engaged, but what's happened with them since then?
What was that amount that we actually spent on Orange Boy? Is it the 23,000? Because you've got other things in here too.
But that's not
so.
the only thing Orange Boy does. The
Right.
mailer.
Right.
It's not the only
So that's
thing
what I'm trying
it
to figure out.
does.
What was the mailer and the follow-up email? Like how much
Mhm.
was that in particular?
That was 7,000.
That was the 7,000. Okay, that's what I was trying to
Yeah.
figure out. So, I mean, 7,000, let's say you re-engaged 750 people, so you're spending, it's that's
Like
$10 per.
yeah. If we get our exact
Close.
numbers there,
It's late.
no.
Yeah, 90.
Divided by-
933.
not 90, $9. Yeah.
$9.33.
$9.33. Okay,
Mhm.
that's what I was trying to figure out, like
Yeah.
how much we're spending per person when we're bringing them.
But is
something like
Orange
that.
Boy more than $7,000 a year?
Yes.
Right.
Orange Boy is
I was just
7,500.
talking
Yes.
specifically.
Yeah.
I
It's
wanted to know
how,
what
it's
that
how
was.
much a
Right.
year
7,500.
on top of that? And
Yes.
does that come out of the marketing and
Yes,
promotions?
it does.
So, okay, Orange Boy does the re-engagement. They also did they do a study that did we have them do a study, or was that?
What do
that
we
was
pay
something else?
what's the
No.
$7,500 get us?
$7,500.
you
Yeah.
wanna know.
Yeah.
All right, $7,500 gets us the platform where we can do our own targeted email messaging.
Okay.
It gives us insights into demographics of our patrons, along with the habits of our patrons. It's anonymized information, and we can. So if someone comes in and they only check out DVDs, we can send them emails that says, "Hey, check out these new DVDs." So we can do that. They also partner with Microsoft Business Insights, and we can see what the market penetration of each of our census tracts are, so that we can really zero in on different ones and say, for example, if the West Dolan census tract, if has very low card users, we can go there and we can, try to hit them and say, hey, do you know about the library? Well, you should get a card or something like that. So they do that. They also helped us out with at the beginning of before we got the tax campaign, like before we voted on it, they did a lot of market research for us to basically test the waters to see if it was even viable.
So this is basically kind of a package deal you buy from them,
hmm
and then do they offer different package deals?
Well, that's basically that they do that for every library, but like the mailers, that's an additional service that we can do. So yeah, there's all kinds of other services they do. I mean, they can come in and they can they could charge us a lot of money to come in and do like really specific training on some new business insight things. There's so much that they're starting to offer now that really doesn't fit for us.
Yeah, yeah.
So
But
So you're just picking from what you feel like works best for us.
yes,
does our marketing person work with Orange Boy?
she does. Yep.
And are they training her now? She's new and such.
Yeah, she
Is there a
has sent
manual or
out
whatever?
yeah, we have an account specialist and
Okay.
they work with her, and Danielle has already sent out this is another thing they do. We can send out email blasts for programs. Like if a branch has a program and they have low registration, we'll send an email blast and remind people like 2 days earlier, and we'll fill that program. So
And we're not paying extra each time we do one
no,
of those
we are
things.
not paying extra. Nope.
Perfect. Okay.
Well, I can say Orange Boy has always been very supportive of the library. And when we needed their expertise, or if we needed their funds for the campaign and such, they came through.
So what can we get through Orange Boy that would help us understand what happened with those re-engagement people to get
Um,
some
Yeah,
indicators
we
there?
can get anonymized data to see how many times those people who were specifically re-engaged, see how many times they've used the library or what they have done, as long as it's a service that uses the library card. Yep. So yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, can you get that?
Mhm.
Because before we rush into it, I want to understand, was it a long-term valuable thing, or did it just boom for the moment and then peter off, and maybe there's something else we could explore that might give us a better return on our investment?
You're saying rather than just doing the same thing we did,
Yeah.
let's make sure it worked well and that there's nothing better that we might want to do.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Anything else on this for now? Okay. We've got about 20 minutes left.
All
We're going
right.
to stop at 6:45. Give ourselves 2 hours and then be done. So we're moving along pretty good. Professional services.
It's a huge,
This is-
huge increase.
Yeah, this is where I'm trying to understand why we have an almost 79% increase.
Attorney fees.
Attorneys. We've got 2 attorneys
Right,
A lot
but I'm
of
trying to
stuff.
understand how the increase is so significant, how you came up with that. I mean,
Uh,
because what you said was our original budget for 23 was 54,000. We amended it to 59,000 to account for the additional attorney fees,
mhm.
which if I have did I not bring what the original, it was like 16,000 was set aside for that, but we need now like 21 for the year. So we're saying $21,000 for this year for attorney fees. And now what are you expecting for next year that this increase is so significant?
Well, we had
Like, what did you put the amount?
for attorney fees for
Yeah.
next year, 60,000. Because this well, it'll be in the payables. We have one attorney bill that's over $5,000. And if that, I don't want that to be the case, but if we keep that pace, then we're definitely going to go to
What was
60,000.
the time frame?
That's 1 month.
That was 1 month.
Yeah.
That was 1 month. What month
That's 1
was
month.
that?
Which lawyer?
August, September? Wait,
Which lawyer?
That was
August. That was
Lauber.
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 Yeah, that was Lauber.
Which
And
I can
I-
see us using them probably a little bit more early on just to try to get some things that we've been talking about squared away.
yeah,
So,
But a significant long-term Lauber is just kind of more
right.
generalized.
and I would like to actually get in leases at Garden City and Drexel next year, and I think that they would be open to negotiating those for us. So I think that that would be another use for them.
So we had 1 month with them that was $5,000. I can't comprehend what they did during that month.
They sat in a meeting.
They
They
came,
charged us for
And how much did they
I
charge us
sent
for the
Tanya
meeting?
a copy of the invoice.
Okay.
So
well, yeah, I mean, I have you can send it to everybody if they wanted.
Yeah.
I
you
specifically
requested it.
asked
Yes,
for it,
you did.
yes.
So
Yes, I did.
and
I
most
mean,
of the things on there were communications with you because I assume you were like the main person they communicate with, as agreed with the board. So
not with
because you're the
Lauber.
president.
I don't know about Lauber, but
We talked about that with Bodine, but
yeah.
We should not all become, only one board member should
Yeah.
be board member, and Dan should be able to contact
Right.
Lauber.
So it probably is mostly with me.
Mhm.
I don't have that with
Okay.
me to be able
No,
to
it's fine.
tell you what
That's
that is.
And I did send one long email that had basically a bunch of questions that trustees had been asking since January, and they responded to that. So, yeah, it was like 12 questions or something.
I think we leave it at this. Hopefully, this Harrisonville situation
I
is gonna wrap up.
right.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with the number. I think I was just trying to figure out
Yeah.
where we were at on things because I
Yeah.
haven't seen that bill.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, is that a Bodine bill? Like, I'm
No.
voting. I'm like, well,
I mean, I would rather
yeah.
have padding in it
No,
than having to come back to the public and going, oh, we need to raise the professional fees again. We
Yeah.
need to raise the professional
no,
fees
I agree
again.
with you.
Yeah, and hopefully this Harrisonville situation is gonna wrap up.
But
Right?
CCIC won't even.
Well,
We're not there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anything else
no.
on professional services? Okay, automation support.
Okay. It's always a weird term, but that's basically anything that supports the library's automation system, our software, how we check out. So that'll be our Evergreen, that'll be a Courier, that'll be internet service, that will be the kiosk, that will be payments that we make to Amigos, who manages our relationship with OCLC, which gives us access to cataloging systems, interlibrary loan. This also includes our membership in Overdrive Missouri Libraries to Go, which gives us access to consortial ebooks and e-audiobooks. Like it's a lot in there. Oh, and print management, because that is directly connected with our ILS, integrated library system. Sorry, I get really jargon. This whole budget line is full of jargon. But yeah. So that's what goes in here.
Do we do anything with E-rate anymore? Mornet
Yeah.
does it for us.
Yeah, Mornet does it for us. Yeah,
Okay.
they've pretty
But
much
we don't
streamlined
have
it.
to file for it.
We fill out one single form every year. So,
Okay.
and it basically says, are we compliant here? Do we have a filter here?
And then
There's
Mornet
like three
takes care of
things.
it for that from
Yes.
there.
Yeah, we
Okay.
send it to the state library. State library looks at it, they verify it, they tell Mornet, boom, we
Okay.
got it. So,
So then with the kiosk that isn't yet up and running, it's not
yes.
here yet, but
Mhm.
what's entailed in that with respect to,
It will be there's $6,000 in there for that, and that is maintenance from the company, and that is the extra. We have to pay extra money in Evergreen for every location we have, and it's a location. It's not a full location, but yeah, I think it's 1,500 for an express location like that. So that covers us there. And one thing that is in here, we have a $20,000 dollar in here in case real subsidies are withheld at the state level. Because if those subsidies are withheld, we are on the hook for covering the rest of that E-rate. And I don't budget for any state aid, I don't budget for any grants, and the only thing that we budget with the real subsidies is the extra money in case it doesn't come. That stuff is extra, but the real subsidies actually decreases our internet cost. So I don't want to go into any budget year and not have that accounted for.
Yeah.
So.
That includes the entertainment, whatever it is we get from the football teams or whatever else.
Oh, A&E. I don't budget for that either. That's different from Real too. It's yeah. We have three funding sources that we don't really put in the budget because at any moment the legislature could say no, or even if they say yes, the governor can be like, I'll withhold that. So
so
And
what
when do
are
they come?
I was gonna
Sorry.
say, so what are the real subsidies like that? What of these like, I'm still trying to wrap my head around what
yeah.
of these can be withheld that you have in here?
The real subsidies that's that that basically goes to our internet service provider through Ornet.
So that's internet.
Yes. And then the A&E, which is the athletes and entertainers tax, that is I don't budget for it any year because that's extra basically, and that has to be used for library collections. And then there's also state aid, which is a per capita um, uh, funding from the state library, and that can be used for a few other things. And what we have historically used it for, actually, you signed the sheet. It's we bolster our e-content with that. So it's not a lot of money for us,
Right.
but for smaller libraries, it is.
And what do those come in like in the same months every year, or like how does the breakdown of when that payment gets to you? And then because I'm trying to remember like whether I've seen it, in a budget where this came in or this came in. Like
Usually comes in quarterly or twice a year.
Which part?
When the state aid comes in or any of those
is it random?
state funding
Twice a year we get those.
twice a year.
Okay.
Yep, in April and November.
Okay. So like at the end of the year you could let us know like we got this much in this last year.
I
It's
think it's
on your
usually
monthly
in there.
report.
It's on the monthly. Okay.
Right now, we've
Okay.
gotten 42 grand.
Yep, in April.
Okay, and then we might get more
And state
in
aid
November.
we've gotten state aid of
Yep.
38.
Okay, okay.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm
Okay, so
hoping
that's what that
hoping to
is.
hoping to get that same amount in
There it
November.
is.
Okay.
Yep.
Mhm.
And that should be on the November reports, which you'll
Be
have
in
in December.
December.
then.
And the state aid is different than the real subsidies.
Yes.
That's just something that's not part of any of those things, right? The real subsidies, it's not like we're receiving money for that. We're just receiving discount. Is that how that works?
So
That's what I'm trying to figure out too. I'm like,
Does this make sense? Like trying to figure out.
I know. Technically, we don't receive the real subsidies directly. It goes to Mornet. But if that money for some reason is withheld, we are still on the hook to make that up to Mornet, to our internet service
So
providers.
we would then pay more net.
Yes,
So
and
the
that's
point is, we don't receive that money.
I was like,
yes,
where's all
I
the accounting for this money? And that's what I didn't
that's why
understand. But
Lori
now
is
that
so
makes sense.
wonderful.
Right. No, that
Yes.
makes total
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
It's just,
So
Yep.
got it.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Nailed it.
And there has been times as he mentioned that the state says, oh, that's nice, we'll just take that off of the budget. Or the governor will say, well, I really don't want to do that and just mark it off of the budget. And even though the legislature passed it, he can mark it off.
You can.
And it has happened before.
Has
Yeah.
there been a year that since you've been here that the real subsidy has not been, like we've had to cover that cost?
Yeah, it was hold on, 2017, 2018.
19?
I think it was 2019. The governor withheld basically all funding to anything of the Secretary of State's office except like the must-have.
So they were fighting.
They were, yes. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And the legislature passed it at like full funding, and it was actually going to be the first year where we were going to
Full.
have full funding, and then the
Right.
governor was like, nah.
Yeah.
Hence why you don't
Yeah.
count on it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yep.
And hence why it's always sitting in the budget
Yes.
just in case.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Gotcha.
Anything else on automated support, automation support?
Yeah.
Okay. Technology.
It's the same.
So my question is, you took Beanstack out of technology,
Mhm.
so there's going to be a little cushion in technology then.
Yes, because what we want to do is we want to, just like we have at Harrisonville, we want to buy some laptops and a cart so that people who use the room at Pleasant Hill or NRC can, we can still have some type of computer class. That's something that people have requested, and
You
it's
mean like
something
a
that's been,
program or something?
yeah, yeah. Or like at Harrisonville, we have Girls the Code, and we use those laptops for that. And so this would, we would be able to have it at other branches, and having two carts, we could have them at the same time. We wouldn't have to.
So we have one, you're
We
wanting an
have one.
additional one.
Yes.
And where will it stay?
Um,
Where's the one now at NRC?
it's at Harrisonville, actually. Yeah,
Harrisonville,
we don't
okay.
know if it's going to be NRC or Pleasant Hill. We'll see how the next couple of months go at Pleasant Hill. It may end up being there, but I want to have money in there so that we can do that, because in 2025, looking ahead, that's going to be the first year when we replace a third of our computers for our disposal plan, because we bought them all in 2021. So, yeah, and it's a lot more efficient to replace a third instead of replacing all of them. Yeah.
Anything else in technology? I think one thing that would be good for the technology when you started talking about replacing the computers,
Mhm.
I feel like again we could get, if you can get us come up with some key performance indicators to kind of justify keeping all of the computers that we have in the branches, because one of the things I noticed, like we get a data point each month, so it's hard. I have to go back and I'm going to talk to you about that, but have to go back and kind of track it myself. But it seems like the overall computer usage at the branches is much lower than it was prior to the increase in the levy.
Physical computer usage has decreased. Yes.
So my question is,
Yeah.
We have this certain number of computers at the different branches. What I want to have an understanding of before that time comes to replace is, how do we justify replacing all of them if the performance is down?
Right, and that's the thing. When we got all of these new computers, we did look at that, and we reduced NRC from 16 to now we have, wait, how many?
We actually went down again.
We have 12.
We had 12 and now we have 10.
Now we have 10. So,
So
but
you guys
they're
are making those adjustments.
yes, we are. Yeah. Drexel reduced by 1. They had 5. So now they have 4.
It would be helpful,
yeah.
like, because, we're like responsible for overseeing this budgetary stuff, just having those indicators that help us understand what's going on, to help understand why you're looking at what you're looking to do in the budget and stuff, so that we're not having to constantly ask you the same questions, but we can get some indicators that will give us, hey, this is how this is doing. And then if we're seeing something, we can ask about that instead of trying to get in the weeds of things. Does that make sense? So,
Which that all leads to a thought that I have, and Zach might be able to answer this question even more since he's the tech guy. If we're not using the computers quite as much as like we expected them to be used, is there a chance that, just like you've got, the city sets a thing and they say we're going to replace this car every, so many years, we're just going to do a lease on it. Well, if that car doesn't reach, a mileage where they really need to get rid of it, the technology, do we need to replace them just because we've said, okay, we're going to dispose this, but they have only been used this many hours, so they really don't. Are we looking at technology or do we want to look at the hours? Like, what are we thinking
That gets a little
about?
hairy.
I'm willing to get in the weeds for a
I
second.
think
We don't have to go to another thing
I
tonight.
think it kind of depends on a chunk of it. Definitely is just keeping them updated enough to run
Basic software.
yeah, basic software or fluidly for the next so many years. And like for instance, it will always be this case. NRC computers will just naturally be used more than Drexel's will. That's just how that's going to be. If we were to base it off that, NRC could be getting computers every 3 years, but Drexel might have them for 12 to 14 years and to finally meet the same usage. So that's just a really tough one without having to go one-to-one computer and just being like, well, this one's gone. It would just not, the setups would just also not look very well. Just throwing it out there for aesthetics. They would not look very well. They would end up having possibly different ports over time and different setups. And that's a really tough thing to try to do, to be honest.
Are we keeping records of how many times we've had problems with this computer versus another computer?
Actually, yes, I just started doing
Good.
something like that.
And our work order
Your work order
system
system will do that.
gives us
yes.
that. Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
And we do have our disposal plan that Zach created at the beginning of this year. So
Yeah.
I think we've added a lot of things in technology to document things so that we don't just, oh, hey, this is a computer that's been sitting here for years. Let's see if it works. No, he has this sheet. It has every item we have, the serial number, when we bought it. Like it's very in depth, and I'm glad that we have it now because now we didn't have it before.
And
So
what he's saying, every computer in that branch needs to have the same match, the same look, or you just don't know. My experience at schools, every computer in one building needs to have the same match. And not have a 2-year-old computer here with Windows XXY and this computer with Windows YYZ. It makes it easier on our techs.
And I will be honest, it also is actually overall, at least if we were to swap out per building, it just gets cheaper per year. Because if I had to buy each computer separately all the time, that's instantly possibly upwards of a 20% markup on that computer.
So you're getting a discount. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair.
Cool.
So I think we'll finish there and we'll pick back up.
Okay.
We can if we want, if time allows us at our meeting. I don't know if we want to talk at all about this. There'll be a technical, what is it? Just basically at the regular meeting, it's on the agenda because it's a second reading, so to speak.
Yes.
But we didn't do any discussing on it in September. So
Right.
my question would be, do we want to set aside some time at that meeting in October to discuss anything, or do we want to hold everything to the next work session?
Personally, I'd rather hold it, just not to stretch out that meeting.
Just basically have it be it's on the agenda as here it is presented to the public as the second reading.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. That sounds good.
Cool.
Our
We
next,
already have our next one.
yeah, what's the date? Does
October
I know.
25th.
And
That's
it
it.
is a Wednesday, right?
Yes.
It is a Wednesday, yes.
The next one's on a Wednesday, the
And that's the
25th.
fourth Wednesday, I think, which is good.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you all for coming, and thank you guys for, in the hot seat. Sit you in the hot seat for a while, and you come out on the other side.
It's okay. I
So we
like budget
appreciate it.
work sessions.